I had planned this evening to be an announcement on the status of where we are with our launch, and it will be that announcement, but it'll be slightly different from the one that I hope to give you, but nonetheless here it is. So I have been working on my license to be a distributor in the state of Maryland, and I learned this morning that the state has held up the application process. It's a general issue with the state at the moment. It has nothing to do with wineries. Unfortunately, it affects my launch, and I hope to come on and say that I'd be present in the Maryland market in the month of November. However, at this time, I'm not sure that that can happen. I am working a political connection through a friend, so I'm not giving up on it, and I'm moving forward, and you'll see why when I get to the next part of the announcement. So this is the life of an entrepreneur. I've told people before that when you start your own business, the peaks and valleys of a workday are much, much bigger than they are when you work for something else. And a key part of being an entrepreneur is just learning to stay steady through all of that. And so we will, and we'll find a way to get to market, because if I don't, then I'm going to go bankrupt. So therefore, the next part. If you saw my story on Tuesday, you would have seen me clicking send on an email. So what was I sending in that email? Well, it was a purchase order, and it was a purchase order for a pallet of wine. And it's a purchase order for a supplier that I'm going to unveil this evening, and I'm really excited to tell you about them. They're making some really cool and exciting wines. And so that brings me to the producer. They're from a region in the north of Italy, almost near the Swiss border, and you can literally see the Alps from the vineyards. It's a region called the Valtellina, and you may have heard me talk about the Valtellina before in some of my prior videos and blog posts. The Valtellina is known for, or maybe not yet known for, the fact that it grows the Nebbiolo grape. If you're familiar with Barolo or Barbaresco, then you might be aware that the grape in those wines is actually the Nebbiolo grape. It's a tannic grape. It's beautiful. It's fruity. It ages well. It's acidic. It's tannic. It's a wonderful, wonderful grape. Well, they grow Nebbiolo in the Valtellina region. Last week I talked about Sardinia and why Sardinia's climate is interesting. They get sunny days. They get these moderating influences from the sea, and they get the Mistral winds. Well, Valtellina has its own climate effects. Valtellina is at a more northerly latitude than Piemonte, where Barolo and Barbaresco are. So it's a cooler climate. You're also higher up in the mountains. But you have these southward facing vineyards, and so you get these these interesting sun effects, but also the sloped mountains and some of the minerality in the soils lend themselves to these terroir effects throughout the Valtellina that give you some really cool complexity in the wine. So enough about that. The producer is a producer by the name of Pietro Nera. Pietro Nera was founded in the Valtellina region in 1940 by Guido Nera. It's been run and in the Nera family ever since then, and since then they've grown. They have vines in all of the key vineyards of the Valtellina DOCG, and they are an important producer in the region, and I'm excited to be bringing them to Maryland. So Pietro Nera, welcome to Maryland. They have 3 wines here that I'll walk you through, actually have many more than 3 wines, but we'll be introducing them with 3 wines. The first is a white varietal made from the Nebbiolo grape called La Novella. It is about 80% Nebbiolo. Have you ever had a Nebbiolo white wine? Another 17% or so Chardonnay, and then the rest made up of some other local varietals from the Valtellina. And so this is it's a beautiful straw color. It's very floral on the nose, and then there's some green apple, some lemon aromas, but also some pineapple on this. Very crisp and acidic. The fruit characters stick around on that for a while. You get a nice aftertaste, confirm all of those aromas. It's a very nice, well-drinking white wine, good to go with soft cheeses. We'll go to the second one in the lineup. This is a red Nebbiolo. It is a little bright in here, so it is from the Cesella vineyard, which is one of the Valtellina Superiore DOCGs. So it's one of the key vineyards in the Valtellina. This is a red Nebbiolo. It will be at a relatively competitive price point as Nebbiolo wines go. As you get to Barbaresco and Barolo, you're upwards of $30 retail, and often a lot more than that. This has the typical garnet color of a Nebbiolo, similar to what you would see from a Barolo. This particular wine does see some large barrel aging, but barrel effects are not really the key driver behind it. So the Nebbiolo wines of the Valtellina are a little different from Barolo, Piemonte, and Nebbiolo. They're a little bit more rustic. I actually poured these glasses about 2 hours ago to let them open up. You have that typical tannic trademark grip there. You can feel it kind of in your teeth, a little bit in the back palate there. The nice acidity typical of a Nebbiolo. And then this particular one has some bright red fruit character to it, maybe even a little bit of baked character to go along with that. A nice floral violet aroma, and then some mineral character from the vineyard, which the Cesella vineyards are known for. Now, last, the one that I'm actually most excited about talking about. So if you've stuck around to this point, hopefully this made it worth your while. I'll show you the bottle. This is a DOCG called Sforzato di Valtellina. Sforzato di Valtellina. Sforzato means drying. Are you familiar with Amarone? Amarone is made when you harvest grapes, usually Corvina, Rondinella, other red varietals. You let them dry for a few months, and then you ferment the partially dried grapes. You make these really big, intense wines. This is a Nebbiolo wine made by that same method. So the grapes for Sforzato are harvested. They will be dried for a period of 2 to 3 months, depending on the vintage and what happened that year. And only the best grapes will be selected for the Sforzato. So this is a big Nebbiolo. It's about 15%. And in the Valtellina, given the cooler climate, this technique evolved because it is rather difficult to ripen Nebbiolo in the cool climate. So you get a different fruit character with this. You get more of a dried fruit character, a little bit more baked. Still some nice floral characters there, but more of like a dried violet versus a fresh violet. It's a very intense Nebbiolo, as you could expect. It really takes a while for it to develop. That aftertaste is really still going now. It really sticks around for quite some time, but this is a good complement to some riper cheeses, a game type dish, something with really intense flavors. And in the Valtellina, the cuisine maybe more resembles some of the Alpine type cuisine, so it's a little bit of a different region within Italy. So the Sforzato is a very nice accompaniment for that. So Pietro Nera They are present in some U.S. markets. They are in New York, they're in Massachusetts, Florida, California, and a few other states, and we look forward to working with them here in Maryland in hopefully the very near future. So that's all for our live. I want to thank you for joining me for this announcement, and we look forward to seeing you in future live tastings and on Instagram and Facebook. Really appreciate the follows and the support that you've given me, and we've got a lot of work still to do, but we're going to have fun. So stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bevi Italiano. Ciao, arrivederci.